Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Master Your Magnetism podcast, where I bring on top experts to help you shift your vibe and radiate self-love so you'll naturally create the life and relationship you've always wanted. Today, I am thrilled to be talking with Rori Raye again. Welcome, Rori. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Helena. It's always a thrill.
We always have so much fun talking about these really important topics. For those of you who aren't familiar with Rori, she is a world-renowned feminine energy dating and relationship coach for women whose newsletters and programs and videos have helped millions of women all around the world. And Rori, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing from a lot of women lately who are dealing with a man who's either confused about what he wants, he's not ready for a relationship, or maybe they're with a guy who's kind of difficult or wounded or has trust issues. And the women in this situation tend to walk on eggshells. I certainly know what that feels like. I've been there myself in my past. I'm sure we can all relate to this. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. This whole concept of walking on eggshells, what it means and how we got started with this. And more importantly, Rory's going to share her step-by-step approach to what to do instead for turning this around. So I'm really excited to dive into this topic, and we're broadcasting this episode live on Bullhorn today, by the way. So hi to everyone watching live. Let us know if you have any questions in the chat. I see a lot of people already in the chat. So thank you so much for listening. And Rori, let's dive in. What's the first thing you have to say about this topic of walking on eggshells with a man?
Oh my gosh, it's like everything. And hi to everyone out there. I'm thrilled to have you. And let's see, where should we start? First, let's just look at ourselves individually. Go ahead and I'll say you. Look at yourself and your experience. Do you walk on eggshells with everyone? Not just him, but sort of with your mother. She's sensitive. She doesn't like criticism. So you're very careful how you put your words together with her. And you never feel like you build a real relationship with her because you're always so careful. Or you don't want to cross somebody in your family, a male member of your family who feels differently about a lot of things than you do. And you don't want to share your private life with them because you're afraid that they're going to tell you what to do or get defensive or feel like you're telling them they did a bad job raising you. So you're very super careful about those words. You're even careful with your girlfriend. You don't want to tell her about her hairdo or anything like that. So all of those things. And then with your man, you really don't want to do something he suggests, or you really need help with something, or you really feel lonely, or you need more connection with him. And instead of asking for that directly, we beat around the bush, right? We try and hint, and then we don't get what we want, and we feel worse. And then we just keep sidestepping it with him. Every time we try, we're afraid of the reaction we're going to get. So look at that. Look at all this stuff, and please write in so we can field your own experience as I talk and as Helena talks. But see it if you do that. Then maybe you're a different kind of woman. Maybe you're the woman who disputes all the time. You start arguments about politics. You don't let anybody belittle you. You're very vocal and you'll tell a guy what's going wrong right away. But you're also feeling uncomfortable about it all and you're angry with him. This could be construed as, one way is better than the other, but really, let's just look at it. Both are ways we keep ourselves from feeling emotionally intimate with anyone.
As you're speaking, Rori, I definitely relate to the first type of person, the walk on eggshells person. I'm so sensitive, and I think you are too. I think a lot of people who are drawn to this work can relate to that. I'm so sensitive. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and so I'm much more tentative, and I tend to hold things inside. That's my instinct, is just to kind of hold it inside and turn it inward on myself often. I don't know if you can relate to that, but I'd love to hear from everyone in the chat. I'm definitely more of that first type of person who tends to walk on eggshells.
I am that person also.
Mm.
And occasionally in my life, I have felt that I was rude. I'm afraid of being rude. And that actually was rude because when I wasn't walking on eggshells, I accidentally, or while I was walking on eggshells, I accidentally still said the wrong thing. And it was taken as not what they wanted to hear. And it still wasn't the truth for me. Do you relate to that at all?
Absolutely. I'm checking in with the chat as well. I see someone who says, I walk on eggshells with people whom I know I can't share all of myself. Angela says,
Yes.
tend to keep quiet or walk on eggshells. For me, it's like that feeling doesn't go anywhere. It kind of festers inside me. It doesn't just go
Oh,
away, right?
yes. All right. Well, let me turn all of this discussion on its head, as I like to do. So instead of going, oh, that's so wrong, I walk on eggshells, oh, I'm hiding myself, all that, instead of judging yourself in that kind of way of expressing yourself or not expressing yourself, let's look at it in a different way. If you were super smart and super confident, because you already are, but you felt that way, you believed you were, you would look at it differently. You wouldn't think I'm walking on eggshells. You would think, I am using my words carefully. I am expressing myself in a way that is heard by the other person and appreciated and helps build us a way to communicate where we can feel safe with each other and begin to communicate more deeply. Same thing with him. So you kind of get my drift? In other words, it's not how you're communicating or the words necessarily you're using. If you're always saying, oh, what a beautiful dress. Oh, I love your hair. And that to you is walking on eggshells. Or, oh, nothing's bothering me. That to us sounds like walking on eggshells. Well, what if you just said, I could tell that this was not a good time to have that discussion, and I didn't have my words ready, and I didn't really know what I wanted. So I just kind of put it on hold for a moment. Then we think differently of ourselves, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So let's work at it from here. If you look back on the way you relate to a person, any person, as I started, not just your man or a man or your date or somebody at a party, but anyone, think about, let's look at what is going on underneath and what your intention is and what the heck it is you want to say and what is it you want out of that moment that is making you proceed in that direction. And could it possibly just be being smart? Could it possibly just be, I don't want to be in it with this person, and so I'm just going to be warm and friendly? Could it be all kinds of things other than I'm doing this wrong? So the way it would look like is, I know my mother is sensitive, and so I deliberately don't want to bring up subjects that, are just going to be abrasive and make her feel nervous. In other words, why would I bring those things up? Why would I question my desire to not bring those things up? Why would I bring up politics? Because I want to create abrasion. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense either. So it's not just your choices about what you're going to talk about or what you're going to say to her. It's how it feels inside. So what you want to do is look at the tension you feel in your body. Are you talking to this person and your man through like your shoulder blades just tighten up, half up to your ears? Is your tummy in knots? Can you feel your voice kind of stuck at, neck height instead of being able to feel your whole body? Can you feel your whole body? Can you feel your whole stomach and your vagina and your legs and your feet? Or are you just kind of like up at your head because there's fear operating here? So is this fear of conflict making you say words that we're calling walking on eggshells rather than just being, you know, actually intentional and smart and thoughtful about how you express yourself to different people? So look at the tension, first of all. Why are you carrying tension? What are you tense about? Are you afraid that they're not going to like you? All right, that's one thing we talk about. They're not going to like you. I know me. I just want everybody to like me. And when I feel angry, I tend to go in an opposite direction if I'm not watching myself. Does that make sense to anybody?
It does to me. I'm the exact same way. Absolutely.
All right. So there we go. So the fear of somebody not liking me could make me, buttering them up and soft soaping them and uh, not being me and not saying what I really think about that dress that the person I'm shopping with loves, or anything that you could possibly think of. Or let's talk with men, right? If somebody wanted to give us a situation, that would be wonderful. I'd work off your situation. But let's say it's about commitment, right? So you're walking around eggshells about, we've been together 3 years and I would really love to advance this to being engaged and getting married and having a family. That's pretty simple. But the last time you said something along those lines, he said, really, I don't want to talk about it right now. I'm so busy. I'm building my business. I'm doing this. We're in different states. I'm not ready to move. Let's just enjoy what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you actually are living together, which was my experience with my husband. And I was living with him for 6 months after telling him I did not want to be a girlfriend, and he was going to propose to me. Everybody knows this story. On New Year's, and then instead he sat me down and said his therapist told him that if I was really loved him, I would wait for him, and he wasn't quite ready yet. Okay, so did I walk on eggshells? Oh, honey, I understand how you feel. I really get that, and thank you for telling me. And you know, or some other soft soap thing, which is I don't know what to say. I'm this, that, or the other. Or how dare you? How dare you? Any one of those versions that would come out of a reaction for either not wanting to make them angry and upset, fear of conflict, fear of driving them away after investing 6 months in him. You have to imagine I was pretty pissed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty disappointed. I was all dressed up for New Year's expecting a proposal. It was like ridiculous. And looking back, for some reason, I had my head together and I had my body together and I knew what I wanted and how I felt. That was really one of the moments in my life that I remember where I actually felt that, kind of inner strength, that I just knew how to speak what I wanted to speak. When I said to him, I totally get that. And yes, of course. However, what I want is marriage and family, and I can't commit myself to you completely until you're ready. And I just smiled and I got up and I packed a bag and I went to Santa Barbara for the weekend. And I went dancing. So that's my story. And it had nothing to do with him because no matter what I said to him, it would not have affected him. And it did not affect him, but it really affected me. I completely just bypassed that whole fear and tension thing. And I just went away and I started dancing with some other guys. And it just kept me glued, not to what my guy was doing, not to what I was afraid of, but what I wanted. As soon as you just stick into that, everything starts to fall into place. Now, if what I want is a lovely relationship with my mother, hey, why would I want to get into the weeds of upset? But what can I be that would be real and create as intimate a relationship and honest as I could? I would be honest about, I'm feeling very uncomfortable speaking about that right now. That's the magic first step. You just say the truth. And it doesn't mean, I don't like what you just said. And, it made me really angry when that happened. You don't have to get all that out right away and back the other person up to the wall in order to feel like you're not walking on eggshells. All you have to do is say the truth. I'm feeling really uncomfortable. I feel kind of confused about what I'm saying. And then we're back to why a guy would say he's confused, right? That's the truth for him. He absolutely does not know what he wants. So there you go. So number one step is dropping all the outer things and the communication tools and everything you've ever learned or thought of, and just dive down into what it is you want. What you want that second. I want to feel better than I feel right this minute. I feel a little rejected. I feel like I want to throw up. I feel my whole body kind of falling over right now. I don't know what to do, what to say. I think I just need to be alone, or I just need to be hugged, or whatever the heck you want in that moment, and then what you want in the long term. And just make sure you always can sort of verbalize that. So you just need words to verbalize it, and then you will feel real like you, and you will not ever feel like you're walking on eggshells. So when you walk by your guy in the kitchen and he's busy doing something, making something, and you want to bring up something tough, and you don't, and you say, I'm walking on eggshells, perhaps you just did not know yet what you really wanted. All you wanted to do was get rid of the anxiety and start a conversation, and you don't want to
Mm.
do that. So, hey, you did the right thing. Instead, go back. Let's figure out what it is you want, which is, I feel a little disconnected from you right this moment. I would really love to do something with you or talk with you or go to bed or discuss what revisit what we talked about last night. When you're ready to say that, then you open your mouth. So just to finish up this kind of sequence. So stop blaming yourself. Instead, dive into what you really want with this person in this moment. And instead of just trying to create less anxiety, see if you can softly say what you want, not what they did wrong, but what you want, and see if you can make that feel good inside you. And then realize that this is a discussion for different people in different ways, in different times, about essentially finding out if that person is on the same page as you, if that person can give you what you want, what kind of level of deepness of relationship you can have with this person. And by just having superficial conversations about things to feel like you're not walking on eggshells, that's not really what you want. Did that make sense? I sort of redefined it all.
I am just hanging on your every word as usual. Angela in the chat says, wow, how empowering. Been learning not to judge myself, pause, and then bring it up. I love it. I think everything you said was totally brilliant and spot on. And I love how you don't have to just jump to spewing your anger all over him. I love that example you gave about commitment with your husband. You were actually still warm and open and actually feminine and soft. And it's like, okay, great. Take all the time you want. And I'm not going to wait for you. Right? I'm going to keep moving forward. But that is just actually such an attractive energy. And I can see how that would be helpful in any situation with a man. I know I hear from women a lot who don't like something their man is doing, or he's not doing something that they wish he would be doing. Maybe he's friends with an ex-girlfriend and that bothers her, or he's really flirty with other women, or he's not pursuing her consistently. And the question I get all the time is, well, should I say something or should I just lean back and see what he does? Do you get that question as well? I'd be curious as to how you would handle a situation like that.
Well, not only do I get that question, but I experience that myself, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Questioning what the heck it is I'm doing in this moment, why I'm opening my mouth, why I'm keeping my mouth shut. What is it I'm trying to say? And I think there are levels here that we could all look at. One is, if you're walking on eggshells, you are trying to control the situation. When I say walking on eggshells, meaning I'm deliberately sidestepping what I actually want if I know it. If I don't know what I want, I'm just being smart. I mean, I'm not just having a little conversation, you know, just on superficial level that doesn't feel right to me when I actually want something bigger that is bothering me, or that I want to have it, open up to this guy. So yeah, I'm just not saying words. That is not walking on eggshells. Walking on eggshells is deliberately, knowingly tabling what you absolutely now know you want in order to not create friction. So if you are doing that and you're judging it as that, just leave the room, go back and ask yourself, what is it I really want? What am I trying to get by speaking to him? And what you're likely trying to get, if you're not sure about you're ready to say what you want, which is big ticket stuff, or even in the moment, I want to go out to dinner. I want your time tonight. I want to spend time with you. What, want. If you don't feel ready to express that, then what are you talking about? You're trying to kind of smoke screen things. You're giving yourself some time to kind of build something, because usually what happens is it just makes it worse, right? It just makes it worse. You just kind of end up saying something and then he starts a conversation on the thing you said, and it wasn't even important to you. And all of a sudden you're on a big tangent and it's like, oh, so frustrating. So what happens is you are trying to control the situation by keeping him engaged, by starting some kind of conversation and talking about this, or asking him how he's going to do something, or getting into a how-to discussion. Or it makes us feel so much more relaxed and less anxious when we can have a discussion where we can help him along with the situation, or do something with him, or basically give him information, somehow fall into masculine energy. It relieves so much anxiety if we can do that. So my vote is, don't say anything. Just don't. Wander around. Instead, what do you want to do? You want to sing? You want to whistle? You want to watch TV? You want to read? You have work to do? You want to visit somebody? You want to go for a walk? You want to pet your dog? What do you actually want to do in that moment? Because otherwise we're I need a connection. He's standing there. I'm here. I feel lonely. That's the disconnect. So now you know what you want. And now you can walk up to him and go, hey, honey, I feel disconnected, a little lonely. I'd love a little hug time, a little cuddle time, a little close to you time. When you don't want to say that, hang out with your dog, hang out with the wall, hang out with your exercise program, hang out with anything creative that you like to do, and give yourself a moment to find the real conversation, not just the anxiety dissipating one. Does it make sense? It's the same thing as, grabbing a gallon of ice cream and eating it, or sitting in front of a numbing, very stupid TV show. So you don't have to think, and you can kind of control the moment, and you don't have to actually ask what you want. And, I don't want your life to go by that way. I don't want my life to go by that way. I want it to be big, wonderful moments that aren't made by either spewing anger to kind of create some kind of drama, or keeping your mouth shut, not because you don't know what you want to say and you don't know what you want, but keeping your mouth shut because you're afraid to say what you want. Just chattering is not viable here. If you say you're walking on eggshells and chattering, now we know that that's just a little mechanism that we all use for anxiety.
It's so true. And what I love about what you're sharing here is you can really say that. You can really say to a guy, hey, I'm feeling a little disconnected. It would feel so good to spend some time together, or just snuggle and watch a movie, or whatever it is you want. Just what you're saying is go ahead and be straightforward and state that. I think that's much better than being chirpy and trying to start conversations and get his attention when he's not paying attention to you or when he's busy with something else. You'll get a
Yeah,
much better result just being super straightforward like that, right?
absolutely. And if you're not used to doing it, you have to start small. So,
Mhm.
do you have an idea of how a person could start small if they're not used to saying the truth?
That's a great question. Probably not around some sort of high stakes conversation, right? Like
Yeah.
moving in together or getting married, maybe asking for what you want in small ways. It would feel good to be hugged right now, something like that.
Yeah. Um, I would love to walk with you outside right now. It looks
Mm.
really beautiful. I would love to know what it is that's interesting you right now. Gosh, I'd like to play pool. Gosh, I'm hungry and I don't want to eat alone. How about, wow, it looks so beautiful out there. It would feel so fresh just to go outside with you. Um, wow, I feel so great in the flowers gardening right now. You could just share something that feels good to you. I had the greatest sandwich. Oh my gosh, it felt amazing. Oh, I just heard this amazing singer. I was watching YouTube, and wow, it just completely fried me. Oh, and instead of wanting to show it to him, And so you can share it with him. No, you don't want to do that. You want to go, wow, it just completely made me feel so amazing. That's it. How about little ways like that? The weather
I think
feels so good right
perfect.
now. I love it cool. I love it hot, whatever.
It can be easy to bypass that little stuff and just go straight to what we're not getting or what we wish he would be doing. And I think it does take practice. Angela in the chat says, I also learned that all of this takes practice. I had a great conversation about next steps. The guy was receptive, but we came to a conclusion he was just not ready. It took practice. Now she says she's dating a guy who's very receptive to my request and makes me feel heard. I think that's great. Maybe that's something to talk about here, Rory. What happens when a man isn't receptive to you being straightforward? I see another comment from Maya who says, I really can relate. I was being like that with my man until I had to be braver to express myself. And that's when I knew he does not love me because he just dwelled into his anger, being mad about what I was trying to tell him. Rory, do you have any thoughts on what happens when a man isn't receptive to you being really straightforward and speaking your feelings or needs that way?
Yes, and Maya, thank you for saying that. And Angela also, uh, what you experienced was brilliant. Now, if we could do that, 3 or 4 months into a relationship instead of 3 or 4 years, just imagine how much more quickly we would end up with a Mr. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. I'll say from my own experience here. My husband is a normal person, just like me, just like you. He has his ups and downs. Every single moment of his life, he's not worried about whether he gets to keep me or not, right? I don't want him to be that way. That would be, ew, ugh, right? But, enough, good enough of the time, he thinks about me and my needs before making a decision or something, and that's wonderful. So when he is in a certain way or whatever, and I say something that actually stresses what I need, or I'm cranky actually, and I wouldn't even get it out correctly, and I say to him, I need to be heard right now, or it's me, I'm the needy one right now. We have agreements, most needy one gets the attention, no matter what kind of shape everybody is in. He he snaps too. I can't explain it either way. It's like he snaps out of himself and his own stuff and all this stuff. Think of your own guy while I'm saying this. His own stuff, and he's doing his stuff. He's just assuming everything's okay with you and all's all right and everything's okay. But you say something and all of a sudden he snaps too and he goes, "Oh, I'm supposed to be listening to you now. I'm going to do that." And okay, I can hear you. What's going on? He doesn't have to be a good coach. He just has to go, okay, what do you need? What can I do? And you have to be able to go, I need you to do this. I need this kind of help. Can you help me with this? And he needs to be a partner. A business partner would do that, right? You would never do business with a person who couldn't do business with you, who couldn't talk with you and be a partner with you. So why would you do that in life? And raising kids, for heaven's sakes. You wouldn't. But we always kind of assume that love takes care of everything, but it does not. And different people are capable of different kinds of love. So you see, as you allow yourself to be vulnerable and say what you want, even little ones like I need it colder in here. We turn off the air conditioner. I'm feeling uncomfortable in here. It's very loud and nobody's paying attention. I'm going to take a walk outside. Just letting him know through your own vulnerability who you are and what you need, and seeing how he behaves and how he takes it. Now, if he just always says, oh, yeah, you're always doing that, what do you want that kind of guy around in your life for? He's probably not going to treat your kids very nicely either. He's not going to treat your family very nice. He's just too busy in his own stuff. And you deserve better. And yeah, you may not believe you deserve better, which is why you chose that guy in the first place. So that's a whole other discussion. But you can begin to believe you deserve better just by circular dating and expressing yourself vulnerably and experiencing men who actually look at you and go, oh, that's lovely. What can I do to help? How do I fit in there? And as soon as you start meeting guys like that, just as Maya said, you realize the difference between that first guy and this new guy. You realize between the guy who isn't a partner with the guy who is a partner. So my husband just turns into a partner. He snaps into partnership. He may be a lone person otherwise, and I may be a lone person otherwise. But when we want to connect and one of the other says it or demonstrates it, I'd like to play a game tonight. I'd love to sit and watch a movie and hold hands. I'd like to take a walk with you instead of just by myself tonight. The other person actually goes, oh, that person said something I need to hear. And they snap to as partner and they actually move into the mode of partnership. And because they love you and because they feel for you and want to keep you around, they know they in their bones they need to be in this mode of partnership in order to have what they want. And if a guy doesn't feel that and doesn't know that in his bones, I mean, he should know that from grade school, what you do to get girls and keep girls. I mean, really. And it's become even more sensitive now. So if he's not snapping to as a partner and you up level, I'm needing, a real partner here on this, and he's not snapping to, whatever would you be sticking with him for? The only reason would be is you've already put 5 years in on him. Yeah, so we don't want to do that. I hope I get you before that 5 year mark. I hope at the 5 month mark. And you never stop circular dating so that, just to finish up, you actually get to experience that other guy, even if he's the doctor or the guy behind the butcher counter or the guy behind any counter, a woman treating you that way, not just as a commodity coming by, but as somebody they're actually care for and are interested in. And once you have that moment and that feeling that, oh, I'm a person, I got, they got me, they cared, you'll never go back to that other kind of guy.
That is so true. That's certainly been my experience. It sounds like people can relate to that too. There's a great comment in the chat. She says, yes, that was the biggest lesson, not to wait to have the conversation. As Helena always says, the right guy will be receptive. So you don't just
Yes.
want to hold everything in and hope it works out. I think it's great. The earlier you can have some of these conversations, the better. And I know you have a lot of great material on how we're all so afraid to be high maintenance, but that can actually be a good thing when it comes to some of this. I know we're running out of time here, but do you have anything you want to say briefly about that before we close out?
Well, I've got all these videos now all over YouTube and TikTok and Instagram on being high maintenance, and I'm
Mhm.
still uploading them. And I'm always amazed at how amazing that feels to women. And I often get comments by men too on Instagram, and I definitely did on a video on a man who's confused that I think we talked about today and maybe a little bit last time either, where I talked about how if he's confused, he's not for you.
Yes. Mhm.
And I don't mean he's not ready. He's not just confused right now, but he's always confused. He's not, he doesn't know how he feels about you. He doesn't, all those things. A guy said to me, hey, and this is kind of interesting. He said, this is a smart man. He is waiting and spending the time to make sure that this woman is who she says she is, that she's not just putting up a good front for a long time. And I thought that was pretty interesting. He thought a smart guy takes his time to see if a woman is for real. I said, you've obviously been treated pretty badly. Have you actually experienced women who put on a front and then turn out to be something completely different? And he basically said that happens all the time.
Hmm.
So here we go. That really gives you a real reason to be real from the first moment. Not to ever walk on eggshells or put up a front, because I hardly have ever met a guy who did not fall for a woman who is actually required a lot of upkeep. I mean, men are thrilled to help upkeep you. They don't want you to ask them for money every 10 minutes or want expensive jewelry constantly. I don't really even know any women like that. So it's hard for me to even grasp that there are any of us like that these guys are talking about. But
Mhm.
if that is true for some men and some women, asking for jewelry instead of for love, that's something else we could talk about. A lot of women have grown up in under such debilitating circumstances and gotten so little that anything feels like love. Money, being taken care of in a financial way, being given gifts. Those love languages belong to different people. And if you are that woman, take a look at it. Have you been pushing away men who want to offer real love in order to get the kind of love that you recognized as love when you were little and really messed up? It's time to what is real love? And I would kind of also want to say, and maybe we could make this our next podcast about sex, because I think we all get felled, we get KO'd by this concept of chemistry, because even though the nice guy loves us and we're getting loved, we still look at that hot guy across the street with a hungry eye. And the hot guy who treated us badly looks good at a certain moment. I think that that is true for almost all of us. And I'm not sure it actually has to do with physical chemistry. I think it has to do with the chemistry, the pheromones that are created in our bodies by our relationships to our parents. And if you look at it that way, it's a little less desirable. If you go, oh, I'm attracted to that hot guy because that's, what the chemistry was with my parents. Ew. I'm going to make my own kind of chemistry. So think of that next time. I mean, I kept wanting to throw my husband aside for somebody that I, wanted to throw myself over the wall for, really. And I thought, what's the matter with me? And it's because my body was reacting. I couldn't help it. My body was reacting. In order for my body to react with my husband, I have to actually let my guard down. It's a whole different experience. It's almost like I get to keep my guard up and pretend I'm uh, infallible or whatever the heck I want to be seen as, and not ever have to show my real self. It's like my real self is boring to me, and therefore I can't create chemistry with somebody. Those are all kinds of things I think we are all involved in. By the way, I am creating a whole kind of a nonprofit, kind of an outreach situation right now, and looking for ways to do that. All over the world now, there are millions of fabulous, wonderful groups of famous women helping young women to feel empowered so that we can express our feminine power, so that they can create money and jobs and businesses and be successful and have the life they want. And that is magnificent, except for this one thing. I have seen this in my own coach training. These magnificent women come in and they're trained and they're beautiful, and they meet a guy and they go away. That I have seen so many women get completely KO'd and leveled and thrown off track by the chemistry with a guy who really couldn't care less about them.
Mm.
And they give it all up. They give up the dream for this chemistry. So I think really going into where is this chemistry coming from and why am I listening to it is really interesting. It's like hunger. Is it like hunger? Or is it something else? Is the chemistry that you can feel with the good guy who loves you as powerful as that chemistry that takes us off our track?
That's a great question. I think for me, it is. For me, the chemistry I feel for my husband, the attraction is way more than anything I ever felt for any of those unavailable or avoidant men in my past. But it was an instant. We've talked about this in other episodes. It took some time to develop. I know you've talked about this too, Rory, how you used to chase men down for just this tiny little bit of spark, and how it's very different with your husband. It's about you opening up first and feeling those sparks within yourself. We talked about that in our episode on 4 ways to stop accidentally pushing men away. And I think it's so important. I think everyone in the world would benefit from understanding that those intense obsessive feelings we can get with someone who's not right for us or who fits into our old patterns or wounds, that doesn't equal true love. Even though it feels like love to us, it can stir up feelings in us that feel like love based on what we've experienced in our past often, right?
Totally. That's totally it. Don't you just want to get a big group hug with everybody out there? I mean,
Yes.
we've got to stick together, ladies. We have got to help each other to find love and not pain.
It's so true. One of the top comments I get all the time in the comment sections of some of my videos is, why don't they teach this in school? Why am I just learning this right now in my 50s or 60s and beyond? And it's just so true. I just think it's such an important message that I want every woman out there to hear. And I know we're over on time. I definitely wanted to talk about your feminine energy workshop for people who actually do want to get some personalized coaching and help from your coaches. It's so inexpensive and people just absolutely love it. Is there anything you want to say on that?
I think you said it. Last Sunday of every month, my brilliant, they're already superstars. You can find them all on social media, but they love doing this, and I'm so thrilled. It's a feminine energy workshop, and Naomi Thompson or Beth Ellen will start by hosting with Natalina Love and really talk on a topic and start coaching volunteers. So if you want to be coached right then by one of them, you can be coached right in there. And then we do breakout rooms with other great coaches. And so you're going to get all that for something like $17 a month.
I was
I'm
just going
not
to
a
ask.
month, just some
Yeah,
$17 for a 90-minute day. It's awesome.
I love it. So just one-time payment of $17. It's not a subscription, right?
No, one time.
I think that's so great. I know people have absolutely been loving that, just soaking in all the feminine energy, amazingness, and getting personally coached with their unique situation. So
Yeah.
this was great. Maya says, thanks to both of you, Helena and Rory. Your talks have always inspired me and helped me with my heartbreak and moving forward. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And Rory, do you have any last words of wisdom before we close out?
Trust yourself, believe in yourself. You deserve everything you want.
That is so beautiful and just really all encompassing. I think what we talk about here can really be helpful for anyone in any area of their life, not just their love life. That's something I hear all the time too. So if you're interested in the Feminine Energy Workshop, that'll be the first link in the description or episode details after the replay of this post. If you're listening live and you'd like to go grab that, feel free to email me at helenahartcoaching@gmail.com. I can send you the link or check out any of the other episodes Rory and I have done together. I think we've done about 4 or 5 already on my podcast here on Bullhorn or over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That'll be the first link in any of those episode details or descriptions of those episodes. Rory, this was amazing. Thank you so much again for coming on. I hope we can do this again soon. I always have a blast talking with you and I always learn something new every time. So this was great.
Yes. I'm on. I'm up for it all the time.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks for listening, everyone. Make sure you're following my podcast on my podcast homepage. You can click the follow button so you don't miss any new episodes. And feel free to leave me a rating on Spotify up at the top of my podcast homepage or at the bottom. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can leave me a rating and write me a review if my podcast episodes or videos have been helpful for you. This was amazing. Thank you so much again, everyone. And Rory, thank you. This was brilliant. I hope to talk with everyone again soon. If you're tired of struggling in your love life and you want a proven system to get into and maintain a relationship where you're consistently loved, valued, and cherished, go to forever1234.com. Again, that's forever1234.com.